Good evening. This is Michael Mirdad here, and it's time for our Spiritual Insights program. It's the Friday Night Spiritual Insights with Michael Mirdad. Today, we're going to talk about healing, consciousness. When did I learn to do healing? Well, it started coming more in high school, kind of healing concepts coming to my mind. And the way it came was not like suddenly healing techniques of acupressure or kinesiology or something. What came to me first was actually the bridge between my spiritual work, what would eventually become my spiritual work, and my healing work. There's a bridge in between the two, and it's really learning to be a feeling person. And so in high school, the form that took was psychic abilities, but intuition, love for people. And I had that earlier on, but it really started showing up in high school a bit more. Where, it just flashed like here's just a small example, but it's all connected, so it's not really as minor as it seems. It's really huge if you think about it. When I was in 8th grade, there was a gal, a slender, and she was kind of a model type. I think she was a model, a teen model, and everybody knew that. And so, wow, she's always dressing in silk clothes, and I mean, it's amazing. We're just kids, yet she was just always dressing like wow, like glamorously, silk shirts, even when she's wearing blouses, everything the finest. And she kind of had this thing for me. And people would kind of like, "You're kidding? Wow, man! Michael, she's got the hots for you." And but she was very, very well poised. She wasn't acting out on it. Just had this thing. And I'm saying that part not to brag. I'm saying that part because she came over to me one time. She would come to talk to me, and I was like one of the only guys she would trust to talk to. And she came over one time, and she's talking to me, and I could see peripherally all these people. Whoa, guys, and kind of the way they're being, like about her talking to me, and and she's talking, and she's very straight, posture and the whole bit. But as I'm talking to her, I noticed as I'm talking, I just noticed something was off, so I looked to see what it is, and very unusually and uncharacteristic of her, like something. It was unbuttoned. Her blouse was unbuttoned, so I could see some of her chest. And so as I'm talking to her, I just said, "Hold on a second. People are watching right now, but I just want you to know your blouse is unbuttoned." So she could carefully, and she was kind of, "Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry." And she carefully, just casually buttoned it. Silly story, but it just popped into my head after I said I don't have any examples in middle school. Well, there was one. Now, what does that have to do with healing? It's about knowing when something is off for somebody that could harm them or is harming them or has harmed them. And first, to be able to notice it. So don't talk to me about skills and healing techniques later. I'm talking, that's worthless if you don't know how to first know that people are hurting in any way. And, that was profound in its simple way. And so I guess that showed up here and there, in different forms. And as I say that, a couple more examples are popping into my head. But it's just an example. In high school, guys are kind of, being kind of crude with gals. And I know here and there I've made my mistakes. But generally speaking, I could say that, I felt, for lack of a better word, if you ask the kid that was in high school, the way he would have worded it is, I felt sorry for people. Not knowing better terminology as I would now, I really felt sorry for people that were being hurt or abused or used, and it was kind of gross. I heard of somebody I knew that was older, talking and bragging about what he and his friends were doing to girls last weekend, and and in my mind, it was like I would go right into imagining being those girls, like wow, wow, guys, and I couldn't reprimand them; they were bigger, older, and all that by several years, but it was just like to hear these things, and hearing family members, my dad, and the way he would talk about women and that sort of thing. But don't get me wrong, this isn't like an over sympathy just to women. When I heard about cruelty to men, it kind of disgusted me. It kind of turned me off. It was something visceral for me. And what happens is, if you think this, spiritual people wouldn't respond, they would just be very neutral and non-responsive to traumas and so forth. There's a really interesting piece in the diary notes of Helen, who wrote A Course in Miracles, where the subject of the Holocaust came up. And I've shared this once before in a talk, but the subject came up, and Jesus says, if I remember this correctly, how this laid out in the book, in the diary notes, he says, I have shed many tears over that. And I just never forgot that when I first read that. To imagine, such love. This is a being that knows everything's going to be okay at the end of the day for all people. God's will come to pass, will prevail. But the love for humans to say, I've shed many tears over that, it's just like, that validates. He also wept when Lazarus, his friend, died. And it wasn't that he died. It's when all the women, the family members of Lazarus, which was Mary Magdalene and Martha, the sisters, and he hears them weeping so much that he choked up. And then after choking up, it hit him again, another wave, and then he cried. It's an amazing thing, probably half dozen times I've teared up. Sometimes just choked up and no tears, but sometimes teared up when I'm doing talks, because I'm talking in front of however, 100 or 300 or whatever it is. And when you develop a relationship as a speaker, I could just lecture. You can lecture at people and remain detached. But I don't feel that. I feel like there's a symbiotic energy between us. Yes, I'm playing the role of teacher, but I feel like there's a love that we all share. And so when I'm doing a talk, I'm feeling what's going on. And so I can tell what people want me to talk about. I can hear it and feel it and know it. And, and it's especially challenging if I talk about something heavy, deep, emotional, I'll start sensing that people are choking up. And sometimes I just feel really honored and, thank you for processing, folks. Good job. Other times it just hits my heart, the pain of people. And if you're a teacher, you're standing here and you really feel a sympathetic energy between you, meaning just simply an energetic connection with those folks. And there's all these tears. It kind of waves onto you. And you can just kind of, shake it off if you could, if you want to. But here Jesus gave us an example of, here comes the wave from these gals and how much they loved their brother and how deeply they were in pain. And he chokes up. And so I saw it as such a beautiful thing, and I've allowed that in the last many years of my life. If it happens, it happens. And so I'm saying to you, to all of us in this case, that, there's hurt. There's hurt and there's trauma. And I know that some of you tuned in, you're regulars, and you're like, oh, this is going to be exciting. I wonder what he's going to talk about today. And I apologize, but I don't. That it's a deep topic instead of fun or funny or whatever. But, and I wasn't sure what I'm going to talk about tonight. But just moments ago, I was driving from doing sessions in town to driving and getting here and doing phone session. And on the way, a song came on that really speaks profoundly. I've shared the song before in talks, but Wildflower by Skylark. She's faced the hardest times you could imagine, and many times her eyes fight back the tears. And so these words of this song, and there's various verses that are so deep, and when you walk into her eyes, you won't imagine the pain she's always feeling for debts she never owed. It's so profound that it's talking about, and it's about a woman, but it's about women, and it's about humans. That there's such pain in us for having lost oneness with heaven, which we never ultimately lost, but yes, for now, it seems that we have. The pain of separation, the pain of separating from each other, the pain of what we've done to each other, even if you've only made a few mistakes in your life. Someone was asking me this week about how they scolded their children, and they asked me, Michael, did you ever? And I said, yes. And it's not even easy to go beyond that and let that go. I know how to let things go, but it's not easy, that particular one, because it was so foreign to me. And I'm very clear why it happened. My life went out of control in the dark night of the soul back when I was in my late 20s. And everything was just messed up, and relationship was ending. I moved from one place to another. Finances were horrendous. It was just all such a nightmare. And then the kids started acting out a little bit. Nothing horribly so, but enough. And I was just blowing up inside. And a few times acted uncharacteristic to what I feel myself, or what would have been in my heart and my preferences. And so I'm saying that we have these pains and frustrations about what we've done, what's been done to us. And Revelation, which is the last book of the Bible, tells us when it all comes to an end, your own evolutionary path and the human races, me individually and us collectively, and you individually and us collectively, when it comes to an end, one of the great lines in the Bible, there's so many lines about profound miracles and all these great things, and yet this one goes not into fancy miracle languaging. It's that, and God will wipe away all tears. Wow. Meaning that there were tears, that there is hurt, there is sadness, there is shame, there is regret, there is guilt. And what are we going to do? Cry it out, man. Cry it out and feel it out. And I know so many of you, there's thousands that this message reaches, and usually hundreds of you comment, anywhere from 60 to 160, 200, make comments online, and they're great, and they're supportive of what I'm sharing, and it's beautiful. But there's also those difficult, those challenging ones, and sessions that I do day and night, and what I'm saying in part is that there's an end to it. When people say it's like an onion and it never ends, there's layer after layer, as I said in a talk this weekend, I don't know what onions they've ever found in the supermarket, but I mean, it would be amazing to see one, because I've never heard of or seen an onion that actually is endless layers. There's actually an end to the layers of an onion. So they're not even speaking it properly. I know that's just a metaphor they're using, but it's an inaccurate one on more levels than one. Onions do have an end, but so do your issues. So stop programming people and yourself with it never ends, there's just layer after. No, it does end. And when it does, like an onion, God will wipe away the tears from the onion too. It all does come to an end. So there's good news. The good news of the Lord, as it's called by some people. The good news is that you're a holy child of God. The real you could never have caused harm. The real you could never have been harmed. It's too infinite. It's too, impervious to stuff of this world. And that's great news, which I'll come back to. But in the meantime, we have caused harm and been harmed, and it's very sad. The stuff that goes on in this world, and none of us are aware of even a remote pin needle worth of the quantity, the constant abuses, the behaviors of people, and they're giving birth to other people even though they're constantly abusing themselves, and they're giving birth to new children to continue the cycle. People aren't thinking in terms of responsible spiritual responsibility, and let's break the cycle. And I would say to you, yeah, guys, let's break the cycle. Let's not enable harm. If you have to end relationships, end them. If you can heal them first. And if not, then end them. It's fine. But make nothing more important than your own sense of love and self-worth. Love for yourself and others, but also self-worth. You have value. We all have value. If I know my value, then I'm not capable of harming you. If I know your value, I'm not capable of harming you. It's not what we would do. It's when people forget. That's why Jesus said, forgive them. They know not what they do. He means they do not remember who they really are. And he's not praying to God. He's really saying that for all of us to witness. He says it out loud. If he was saying it to God, he could have done it in his silence of his mind. He's saying it so we hear that and remember that. So this stuff has to end, you know. The stories, you know, hearing and what I feel from you folks. My God, the longing for love that people have, the longing for any amount of safety or affection or sanity in our lives. I think as a kid, there was enough chaos in my household that, you know, that there was a hunger for any amount of sanity. You know, if I saw a household or a person that had that sanity, oh, you know, I just unfortunately overly, you know, felt like, oh my God, I wanted to move in with other families or something. And I think several people have felt that way. But that's a broken kid still. Moving in with somebody else wouldn't have removed the pain, but it would have just given them a new safe place. Well, if you're in a life that's not safe, it's okay to get safety and then work on the issues, as long as you work on them. To think that someone or something has brought you what you're looking for, it's not possible. They're only another temporary thing, but what is that thing used for? Like crutches, so we can heal. So the others can't fix us or our lives, but they can give us some semblance of sanity and safety, like a hospital in which we can do our healing. That's a beautiful thing. Wear a cast until you heal. Use crutches until you heal. Go to the hospital until you heal, and whatever else is needed. Well, friendships are the same way. But humans being, you know, just so sad and so scared. The sessions that I do, wow, my heart just goes out to people because I hear the desperation is the word. Desperately wanting to heal, desperately wanting to be held, desperately whatever, but there's such an intense desperation. And if they think continually that something outside is going to fix them, then they're actually not going to find the healing they were looking for. So let's remind ourselves, whomever we use for healing, even if it's you know, a temporary, like a massage, they can only bring you something that you still need to integrate. If you get the massage and walk away tense again, you sort of have betrayed their healing. There's one gentleman that does healing work, you know, and that I met once and went to him for a few sessions. But I tell you, man, as soon as I walked into his space, he always had great incense or oils going, you know, just as soon as I walked in, I was like in love. But I didn't say to the guy, marry me. I know what's happening. This is my experience. The building, the room, the sense, the person, the healer, they're just holding space. So if we're responsible and less desperate, then we'll understand that. But I walk in, and it's like, oh, wow, just beautiful. Get on the table and get cared for. You know, the person would stretch you a little and, you know, do a little work here and there. And the warmth sometimes of a lamp overhead, or, you know, a warmth of a heater on the mattress, or, you know, the massage table. Oh, you know, just the scent, the care. There were times that I got my work done and thought, I should just ask to pay to sit here for a few more hours. And my home is beautiful, safe, wonderful. But it's another warm vessel, this container that just was like, oh man, you know. And I think maybe once I said something like that jokingly to him. He said, yeah, a lot of people feel that way. But I was aware that I felt that feeling several times. Is it wrong? Not at all. But what I do need to do is a couple things. Integrate it, mainly. Own it. If you need nurturance, Michael, let's get it here and in your life in general, and nurture yourself. This is the message we would have to send ourselves. Or if it's the warmth, literally the warmth, then turn up the thermostat in your home or get a heating pad. There's all kinds of things we can do on the outside to supplement and bring those things to us. I call that assembling new parts of our life. So assemble, bring the warmth, you know. And if all you do is watch movies about what could have been, romantic movies about what could have been and should have been for you, that might seem like, well, that's one way I can observe and bring in good things, but not if you don't have it and you think of it as, oh, if only. Now you've done the opposite. So if I go to get this guy's, body work, let's say I went back and did that and thought that if only, it sort of now ruins the home I have, or it ruins the relationship if I'm in a relationship, or whatever it is that's warmth, in a symbol of warmth in my life. So we have to own these things. If you want your life to heal, look for all the signs of it being healed and breathe those in and integrate them. But you have to do that on the inside and on the outside. It's good to do on the outside. You can only do the inside, but your mind is going to still say, well, I'm feeling great, but I'm too pulled into what I don't have out here. Or if you only do the outside, then it's going to be like, well, things are kind of fixed out here, better, but the ache inside is no better. So it has to be the inside and the outside. As best you can, create a holistic experience of feeling loved. And as I've said so often, assemble it. If you don't have I think if I was a gal and said I don't have any kind of a nurturance, a warm male friend, I would absolutely call on a girlfriend and say, can we snuggle and just kind of watch TV? I would know we're girlfriends. I get it. We're just friends. But to have something like that is fun. To have somebody to laugh with. Maybe that's all you're going to do right now. And some people, this is very important. When I'm giving these examples and you find nothing but reasons to not do such things, then don't talk to me about how you want to heal. Because I can hear you're sabotaging before you even heard examples on how to heal. You're already sabotaging it. If I say, watch movies, oh, I don't have a TV. Okay. Listen to music, no, I don't have a stereo. Okay. On a computer, listen, I don't have that either. Okay, never mind. Then let's try some other things. Why don't you, get a heating pad? Oh, I'm allergic to them. If all you do is shoot down every example, I'm serious. You need to look at that because it's not an accident. You're rejecting your good. And when we're healing our lives, it could be romantic, it could be financial, it could be emotional, it could be family of origin, it could be addiction. There's lots of levels of healing, but believe it or not, they're kind of all the same. Because usually people think they have an illness in some area of their life, financial illness or relationship illness or whatever. What they don't realize is it's one or two core things that sort of start growing, like the proverbial blob in the old movie. It grows and sort of infects various areas of our life, which is exactly what the ego of every human being wants to do. It wants to look very insidious. It really kind of like nothing's going on. And then when you're not looking, grow, 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 grow. You're looking, pause, nothing noticeable. And then you turn away, grow, grow, and it starts then hitting different categories of your life. And then down the road, somebody says, hey, how you been? And you just go, it's hard to believe, but like 4 out of 5 main categories of my life are just ruined. They're destroyed. Well, how did that happen? Oh, I think he did this or she did that, and this happened, all coincidental, had nothing to do with you, but it did. When people say take responsibility for your healing, it sounds like you're going to be blamed, but I will say take responsibility for your problems, only in the sense that even though you may not feel you caused them, because we don't need to blame, you have to consider that I just told you I'm one voice. And I just explained how the stuff works, how healing and how being broken works. And I'm saying that if you don't heal, the stuff is going to grow. That means that if you haven't done work and aren't choosing to do work on your life or on a specific area of your life, technically we could argue that you are now causing your problems as they start to surface. I didn't cause it, you did. By not working on it, you did something. By doing nothing, you did something. So we have to kind of look at that. I mean, no offense by that, but it's just something we have to take responsibility for. And so healers to me are people that care. Now, if they overly care, it's kind of like you're going to take everything on sympathetically, very hypersensitive. You want to save the world. Every time you're a vet, but every animal that dies, makes you want to take your own life. That's too much. That's way overboard. You're a social worker, and every time you see a broken family, you go into a depression. That's not God's will. That's your will. You're allowing yourself. By not healing your wounds and then getting sympathetically pulled into them, you're actually contributing to the problem. You are actually causing yourself problems, illness, depression, or whatever it is. And the same thing goes on whether it's relationship, financial, or anything else. So healers and healees, we all have to understand this, but especially healers. A good healer feels for people. Feels in the sense not pulled down by, but cares about people. And look at the primary caregiving groups, systems on this planet and in this country, in our country, the United States, but in every other country for that matter. The primary care systems are encouraged. That's psychology, psychiatry, medicine, pharmaceutical, etc. Where in those do you hear anything remotely near to a majority vote about caring for people? They can say the words. I'm talking about where is it generally okay, like majority of that system, the majority of psychiatry endorsing hugging clients and showing them that you care, or shedding a tear with your client, or holding the hand of, or whatever it is. It's not the majority. It's the one-off doctors that you hear articles about because it's so rare. They're the hugging doctor, or the whatever it happened, the doctor that likes to make people laugh, and he goes overboard, and he goes out there in a good way. He goes out of his way to make children laugh, even if they're going to be dying of cancer in a home somewhere, a clinic somewhere. That's supposed to be all of us. That's supposed to be every human being that says, I'll do everything I can within reason, within my means, physically, financially, energetically, my means, to make a difference. And instead, we're taught, don't hug, don't do this, don't do that. And by the way, don't get too emotionally connected to people, because if they die, it'll really get you. And that's true. It can take a toll. So I understand the logic of protect yourself. Doctor, protect yourself. Counselor, I get that. And some people will actually overtly or covertly take advantage of our caring. One time you give them that extra something, and they're going to want more of it, or whatever it happens to be. People will take advantage. You give a discount to somebody, and then they want a double discount next time. It does happen that people do that. So what are you and I going to do? Put up greater walls to prevent that from ever happening? I feel like the more integrity we have and the cleaner our energy is, the less we attract those situations. You do get them once in a while, but you won't get them all the time. Not so much that you think you have to shut down. And the same goes for us emotionally with partnerships. Well, I had one and it hurt me, so I'll never love again. Okay, well, how's that going to work out for you? You're already hurting then. So partly what I'm leading to in all this is the importance for us as healers to recognize you actually become a better healer not by being completely shiny and new and no issues and no sympathies and no empathy, and that's not what it looks like. It's not all detached. It's to be able to get in the trenches with people and still remember God, to get in the guts with people and still remember how to get back. That beautiful, going behind enemy lines kind of thing, and caring enough about people. And it's the way of Christ consciousness. If someone asks for your shirt, give them if they ask for your coat, give them your shirt as well. It's just a metaphor, and it never means to harm yourself or give what you can't give. It's a metaphor of, it has many meanings, but one of them is to show people that they're valuable. Show people that they're valuable in a way that's healthy, loving, caring, not confusing, not unsafe, as best you can. So again, coming back to this, the best healers are the people that actually know how to feel what's going on with people. So this is a talk that's partly on empaths, partly on healers, partly on appreciating the good that's in our life so we can draw into us a better life and keep building a better life. But it does include the importance of feeling. Healers should be feelers. And that was a good line. So let's make a bumper sticker. It's a good one. Healers should be feelers. Healers, you're not even a healer if you're cold. It doesn't make sense. Well, you have to be objective and stay detached. I hear that and I understand the logic of it. It's just wrong. It's just incorrect. That's all. I understand the intention of its logic. But in so doing, as soon as I protect myself from you, I'm different than you. I'm better, first of all. You're the ill one and I need to protect myself from you. That separates. Separation is the cause of every imaginable problem on the planet, throughout the universe for that matter. Separation. So what can I do if separation splinters off and becomes every form of sickness, illness, pain, etc., feeling separate from love, wholeness, and so on, then what would be the opposite? Obviously, oneness. So a good healer tries to restore a feeling of oneness. How can I do that if I don't even first recognize that something is not feeling very one? You know, the child that, you know, is feeling sad or lonely. You know, when my kids were in school, when they were little, you know, I remember I would be able to see kids that were being abused. I could feel it and see it. Now, I couldn't go and just pick them up and adopt them and sweep them off to another country or something, you know, because I said stay within what's right for you. That would have been dangerous and illegal and so on. So you can't do some things, but what can I do? And sometimes it really pained me to just smile and bring love to the kid from what I could do in that moment. Careful not to pick them up. Well, why? If they're abused, maybe they need that. Well, that might be the right thing. In the moment, if I felt it, I would do it. But at the same time, touching a child that's been harmed can actually sometimes trigger some things. Are you wanting to take that on? So you have to ask yourself that. But people live in this such a strange mindset, and someone's got to be able to step up and do something different, say something different, bring a difference. You know, when I was a kid, I was an assistant teacher in an elementary school, and I remember in my just my naivete. One time the vice principal called me, "Oh, Michael, how have you been?" And everybody loves having you here. And it was really an amazing experience. People really dug what I was doing and with the spirit I was bringing. But she says, "Oh, you know, and you know how when you come onto the playground, this is exactly what was happening. It's true. You know how when you come onto the playground, because I would arrive halfway through the day. So I'd come during lunch recess. How the kids all run up to you and hug you, and some of them climb on you and you hold them, and that's because the kids were loving me. That was just such a fun, beautiful thing. Well, you have to not do that." And I'm sort of like, and I swear, I mean, I may not have been the brightest bulb on the tree all the time as a person on this planet, but I swear I was sitting there going, okay, and I'm thinking, what is she talking about? Well, you know, I go, oh yeah. I had no idea what she's talking. In their minds, to hold children is inappropriate. That would never have entered my mind. Not the cause, not the symbolism of it, not the people's obsessions, nothing about people's thoughts about such things. All I knew was the love of the experience. And it was being, in that moment, it was being tainted. It was being kind of dirtied. You know, and I kind of walked away what, you know, some people used to call you feel slimed. You know, you feel like something's been dirtied. And it's like, ooh, like what just happened? Then you go through, I went through, wow, did I do something wrong? I wonder what happened. I wonder, you know, you can't think it through enough to solve everybody else's messed up, dirty minds. And I know that it was completely clean. And the kids must have felt it because they loved it. It was such a beautiful, hey, they come up and just all the fun, man. Boys and girls, all the fun. And then somebody messes with that. But somebody's got to make the difference in each circumstance. Somebody's got to be able to say, you see an accident and somebody's got to be able to step up and go, today I'm going to be a nurse and deal with blood. Today I'm being apparently asked to be the one who comforts or the one who approaches this car accident. Do you think you want to see those things? Of course not. But today, help me, God. Be with me, God. Well, I go and help with something that seems yucky. And sometimes it's not about yucky. It's about tenderness and affection. And sometimes it's about friendship and camaraderie. Sometimes it's, just having somebody, like there was a fire at a house near my house once. And this house kind of burned pretty bad, but nobody got killed or dead or aren't injured or anything. But still, it was a couple of young gals that were living there or staying there, renting or something. And they were sitting out at the curb, kind of a little bit shaken up. And I remember there were a couple of other people starting to come out of their homes. And there was a point where I said to them, me again, and I go, do you guys need a place to sleep tonight? And I could just feel a couple of the mature women, in the, from other houses at that point, they arrive and they're like, we'll take care of them. And I'm like, no, it's okay. And it took me a minute to catch on that, oh, that's not allowed or it's inappropriate, like in some weird way. Healers need to be feelers. The people that think they're helping by shaming things and shutting things down and blocking off connections, even when it's about like racial stuff. There are people when varying races, kids get together and then somebody comes in the picture and tells their own kind, you can't, what are you doing hanging out with that kind? That's a sickness. Now mind you, they have just as much a light in them that's obviously buried, but a light somewhere inside them that is made in the image of God, and they'll find their way. They'll wake up too someday. But it doesn't help to keep perpetuating it. So you and I, guys, just think about it. You and I need to practice making more of a difference. Don't put up with hurt, shaming, darkness, and all this kind of stuff. Don't perpetuate it. That doesn't mean I should have or you should slam people when they say, like those ladies, oh no, we'll take care of them, and making it like shameful that I had offered. It doesn't mean you have to go out of your way to hurt people's feelings. Just know in your heart, offer only what you know you can. If people misunderstand it, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't throw away the whole intention just because somebody else's dark mind didn't get it. It's in the Bible, and it's in the sutras and tantras of Buddhism, where it says something to the effect, slightly paraphrased only, honestly, it's this profound, without even paraphrasing much. To the pure in heart, all things are pure. To the wicked, all things are wicked. And that just means whatever's in my heart is going to already determine what I'm going to see. And if you do something loving and I'm wicked in my heart, I'm going to somehow pervert it, screw it up. Healers need to be feelers. Don't shame yourself for feeling, but do some micro adjustments if your feeling is excessive to where it causes you harm or anybody else harm. Some of you have said, I'm starting to get chronic fatigue because I take on too much stuff from my clients. Guess what? It's not the client's fault. It's not God's fault. God wants you to not take on. God wants you to be with the people, help the people, walk amongst the lepers and sick people in this world, but never where you're supposed to take it on. And I think that knowing this has really been instrumental in my work, because you could argue this point, but I don't think this was brought to my attention a couple of years back, and I thought, what, really? And it sort of ended up getting proven to me that I don't think any human being has had as many counseling sessions as I have, or has seen as many clients. Now, an average counselor, what's their roster? 10, 15, 20 clients? Mine's hundreds, and sometimes more than that, per year times 40 years. The number of clients and the number of sessions that I have done and still do is beyond really what people would understand and imagine. And that also included all this time healing work, body work, and counseling on everything from slight aches to major traumas to sexual abuses to whatever. All kinds of, soldiers with post-trauma, every imaginable topic. Even ritual abuse in cults and things. All kinds of horrid and weird and some less stuff. And technically, I should have, especially being a feeler, I should have taken on all kinds of stuff. And I know a little bit stuck here and there, possibly or truly, but it should have been far, far, far worse, and it should have hit me 20 years ago after already doing it for 20 years. I'm not bragging, I'm saying it's a mindset. And it's also, when you recognize the work is spirit working in and through you, then you're sort of taken care of. I'm not saying that if you've gotten sick, you didn't do good work or that you weren't close enough to God. It's not a judgment. We can't do that. But all I'm saying is there is another way. Learn your deservability. You can be a feeler, but learn your deservability, that just because you're a feeler doesn't mean you have to prove it by taking on too much feelings of us, your clients. Recognize the feeler, it's more like a sense, not an absorption. So you just sense, something's going on. It's, wow. You see a drink in front of you, a hot chocolate, or it's water, or it's soda, whatever it is. You can have a sip. You don't have to have a six-pack. So you have a sip. It's just a matter of, I think I'm done. It tastes dang good, though. Maybe I'll have more. You can drink, I don't know if you know this, but you can actually sit down and drink water and die from it. You can drink so much water, your body will actually go into a bizarre version of detoxing and overwhelm, and you'll die. I think it's major, mostly your liver that gets involved, but you'll die from water. So all you have to do is understand. All I'm needing to do is sense what's going on, not go and absorb it. Now, it's not that you even viscerally, visually look like you're absorbing it. It's really mostly a subconscious thing because of patterning. So there's a patterning in us that's just going to be, I learned that I had value when my parents saw me taking care of the kids. So now the kids are my clients. My dad left, so I have to be the dad for my mom. It's when we try to overcompensate, whether it's family codependent kind of patterns, or it could be addictive patterns of different kinds, or it could just be low self-worth, and I'm compensating. But it can also just be things like my aura. Your aura is like your force field. And if your aura is weak, so are your boundaries. If your boundaries are weak, so is your aura, because they're the same. One's energetic, light, and one of them's psychological. But they're the same. They influence each other because they're the same. One is like the manifestation of the other, crystallization of the other. And so if I have weak boundaries, weak force field, weak aura, then that too causes me to absorb too much. Okay, well, how could you get a weak aura? Well, believe it or not, drugs and alcohol, true. But also, believe it or not, you or other people in your household raging can actually create holes and tears in your force field. If you've ever seen an episode of Star Trek or anything like it, they have shields around the ship. If those shields are down or broken too much, you can't prevent things from entering, by torpedoes and all, from blasting your ship apart. Well, it's the same for you. Again, healers should be feelers. But if the feeler has gone overboard, the rescuer, the codependent, the no boundaries, etc., then too much stuff's getting in. So psychically and psychologically, stuff is getting in. My wounds can absorb like a sponge the dark stuff around me. from clients and from hospitals. That's why sometimes you get entities clinging to people. You can go in a hospital and walk out with, just this staticky, entities clinging because they're looking for something that has life to suck onto. If you have a sharp force field, they can't glom onto it. It's like too Teflonish. So they go to kind of grab on and they skate right off of you because you're bright. Your light is bright. Have texture to your aura where it's starting to get spongy or there's holes or rifts. Then things can grab onto those like little shelves that their hands can get onto to climb in. I'm not saying don't go to a hospital. I'm saying that you could be going to a school. Kids go to the school and catch colds from other kids, so they say. And it's kind of like that. You go into a school, there's a lot of emotion going on in a school, especially a middle school, high school. Kids that age, there's a lot of intense emotion going on. And the hormones are intensifying those emotions. And there's a potential of picking stuff up. So what should you do? Not go? Well, no. You become healthier. How? Well, remember, boundaries are force field and psychology. They're the psyche, the psychic, and the psychological parts of ourselves. So I have to do healing of my psychological self, but also healing of my psychic self. And they overlap, but there's a lot more about that in my 7 Initiations on the Spiritual Path book. A little bit of explanation about psychic and emotional and all that. But at the end of the day, and I'm coming to a close, just the realization, there's nothing wrong with you for being empathic. There's nothing wrong with you for being a feeler. But you're not supposed to be deluged or destroyed by that. And not knowing what to do about it, here's what you don't do. If you go to some of the websites out there, I'll bet you anything, if you watch 4 out of 5 of them, if you watch 5, 4 out of 5 that you watch are still going to have a propensity to say that the solution is, and they're defining the problem as you beautiful soul, you empath. Oh, and then there's all these bad people and you're picking up those bad people's stuff. By making other people the cause and you the innocent victim, which is what most programs probably show you, I bet anything, you're not going to actually heal. You're going to heal by recognizing I was weak because of wounds of mine that I hadn't healed. I don't even have to talk about others and the way they glom on and grab on and get all attached and psychically sucking energy. I don't even have to worry about that. If I'm healthy, then my psychological self will be full, my boundaries will be clear, and my aura will be shining. Put on the armor of the Lord, man, shining. And things, I don't even have to talk about it because they can't do anything. There's no them that's a harm causer. All I know is I just feel light. And well, what about, I don't know, I just feel light. You just focus on your brightness, having done your work. Now, all that said, I'm not wronging you if you're months or years away from completing that healing. But I am saying, get on it. You deserve it. Not get on it like you've done something wrong. Get on it because you're beautiful and you deserve it. You deserve to feel safe and clear. Now, another problem is some people are addicted to it. I'm just so used to people draining energy. I'm so used to being a victim of people sapping me. I'm so used to being the rescuer, and that's you again. You have to decide. If I tell you that's wrong or harmful to you or yourself or something, if you're addicted to it, you're just going to go, well, never mind, change channels and not watch this. You have to come to understand that it isn't in your best interest. You have to say, you know what, enough is enough. I've been carrying so many people, it's ridiculous. I don't have a vehicle known as my being. I have a bus, and people keep getting on board, and it's like, wow, blowing out tires because I'm carrying so many wounded people. It needs to be, let me change the destination on the bus. Instead of saying, wounded, please board, it needs to be healthiness or bust. Only healthiness. And people that want to stay wounded, they'll know to stay back. They're not interested. Not because they're good or bad, you're good or bad. It's simply no resonance. So they come for that, and it's like, oh no, I'm sorry, didn't you understand? We're going healthiness, only healthiness. Oh, but do you mind if no, actually I do mind. It's not my thing. And that could be your own mother, it could be your partner, your former partner, your children, your best friend, whatever. You're just setting boundaries because you decided to be healthy. So, healers or feelers? Obviously, I like that, so I've repeated it a few times. And by the time they, um, you know, get to this, we'll use this as the title. So they'll have to fix this, and they have to kind of what they call render it. So by the time you see this on YouTube, they'll probably have that. Maybe they'll have to use that as the title. We'll see how it goes, but I think it's a great line because it's exactly right. It says in that one title not to become cold, not to become detached, not to overly protect yourself per se, but it also means allow yourself to feel. So allow what's healthy in it, disallow what's not healthy about being a feeler. All right? Thank you guys for letting me share this, and thanks for letting me share the deeper and sincere feelings about some of the hurts and the wounds. And man, I'm telling you, I'm there with you. My heart goes out to you, and let's work on it, okay? Whether your pattern has been betrayals, or whether it's been, just lonely. A lot of people have brought that up lately. Feeling alone or lonely. My heart does go out to you. I mean that. And I know that's, you can have a counselor or a teacher or what say, oh, well, hold it. I'm sensing you're going to find your soulmate next month, or do things to sort of make you come out of that depression. It's not easy, because I would say to you, sometimes it's going to be days, weeks, months, years. You might not choose it in this lifetime to be with someone, and that would be okay if that's what you would like. But you're going to say, well, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't like that. I do want a partnership. Well, I would just then say, do you want one now while you're still broken and wounded, or do you want to wait till we've done some more work? That's all I would say. And I hope, and I know the healthy part of you would say, fine, I can hold off a little longer. Then let's do that. Let's do some more healing. If you're dealing with loneliness, let's do some more healing. But don't forget, even a program like this, someone is with you. So remember, I know that's not the same as snuggling, but own every little bit, and then more will come to you. If you truly own and integrate and gain something from what bits are brought to you of affection, love, even if it's from girlfriends, friends, whatever it is, gifts given to you, someone giving you their time, someone like this program, then soak it in, because someone cares. All right? If I were a millionaire, I would still do these programs because I care. And that's a good way to test it, to say, if you had all the money in the world, would you still do it? I couldn't stop doing it. Chances are, it's just to the end of time for me, okay? Thank you, folks. Many blessings to you. Join us where and when you can. And we have a new Course in Miracles course starting up January 1st. It's a 1-year course. It's like the first ever on the planet done this way, a full 1-year course with everybody engaged. So join us if you can. God bless you all. Bye-bye.